treasure trove of human architecture. Do you find these structures familiar? If you have followed our channel's building Angkor Wat, then certainly you will find this structure very familiar. That is also natural because it truly carries the breath of religion and Angkor architecture. Angkor Wat, or India. It is owned by a small country in Southeast Asia. It is the cradle of Myanmar civilization, the ancient city of Bagan, symbol of a religious empire at the peak of its power. Bagan, City of Kings, a pinnacle of religious architecture in Southeast Asia specifically and in the world generally. These 3,000 temples are the final testament of a civilization thousands of years old. The Bagan Empire developed prosperously, but then in the blink of an eye, its golden age passed. And the temples thus fell into oblivion for a long time. Why is this city the clearest evidence showing a glorious civilization in the past but then became a pile of historical ruins immediately afterward? Although once forgotten, why do craftsmen today still strive to find ways to make it eternally immortal? Welcome to the exploration journey, the mystery of the ancient city of Bagan, City of Temples. The central structural part of this architectural work, meaning the citadel area, has almost completely collapsed into a pile of ruins. On August 24, 2016, the ground of Bagan began to shake. It was the strongest earthquake that the City of Kings had to endure in nearly a century. In just a few seconds, hundreds of temples disappeared in dense clouds of dust and smoke. This is one of Bagan's famous temples engulfed in dust after the natural disaster occurred here. Desperate cries for help, mixed with the crashing sounds of thousand-year-old architectural structures, all created a terrifying scene. The U.S. Geological Survey said the epicenter of the August 24th earthquake was located about 25 kilometers west of Chot Town, south of the ancient capital Bagan. This 6.8 magnitude Richter earthquake caused serious damage to hundreds of ancient architectural structures in Bagan. Some of them could not even be restored to their original state anymore. These relics have endured many rages throughout the long, vast flow of time. But this time it seemed to have exceeded endurance. The damage caused by the earthquake was significant. 389 buildings were nearly destroyed, total damage to health. It was a material disaster for Myanmar. Worse, it was a cultural disaster for all of Asia. To remedy the consequences of this disaster, UNESCO mobilized a series of experts to save Bagan. Among them, a new generation of scientists was dispatched here. Modern scientists became the saviors of an ancient World Heritage Site. Why say so? Scott Lee, executive director of CHAEC from San Francisco, is one of them. This man is both an architect and an experienced engineer. Scott undertook the task of creating a virtual replica for Southeast Asia's gem, the Temple of Five Buddhist Statues. Unmanned aerial vehicles are the most effective tools for this work. Scott photographs this temple from various angles and aspects. But obviously, unmanned aerial vehicles also have limitations. It is difficult to capture close-ups of every nook and cranny of the temple. What it can do is capture panoramic views of these architectural structures. When human strength cannot overcome spatial limitations, it is also the time when artificial intelligence assistance is needed. Scientists decided to place a panoramic observation robot developed by NASA on top of the temple, and the photos taken by the research team are truly very useful for the people of Myanmar in preserving this architectural structure in the future. The collected data will be taken to the other side of the planet, and the research team will process them in the world's new technology capital, San Francisco. Right in the heart of Silicon Valley, Noy Scott Computers and British archaeologists are working to preserve the most beautiful heritage on this planet. It is no different from a memory of humanity. That is the non-profit organization named SAIC. SAIC is an organization specializing in preserving world cultural heritage in digital form. This is a gold preservation project, aiming to record virtual reality models of historical monuments. S mission is to record, archive, and share the world. To ensure these sites continue to be preserved, and ensure these historical monuments will have a bold preservation project. This ensures these sites continue to inspire wonder and curiosity for humans for many decades to come. Since 2003, SAIC has accumulated high-tech digital records of 200 heritage sites across 40 countries, including Wat Phra Si Sanpet in Thailand, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Bagan in Myanmar, and the Sydney Opera House. SAIC Deputy Director, Archaeologist Elizabeth Lee, said, "We will collect all different images to form a unified terrain model. As manual archaeological excavation tools give way to modern digital technology, the truth gradually comes to light." Suleimani is one of the temples UNESCO assessed as needing urgent restoration after the earthquake. Due to its importance in Bagan's architectural complex. So why is this place so significant? This temple is just one of the 3,000 temples in ancient Bagan, but its 5 facade architecture is unique in the world. According to Scott, these structures have endured dozens of earthquakes, having existed since the 11th and 12th centuries. How many more earthquakes can they withstand? We mean, they could collapse in the next earthquake as well. You know, many modern buildings dozens of stories high have collapsed in seconds due to earthquakes. So how could ancient people build such sturdy, enduring structures? Modern Myanmar is the largest mainland country in Southeast Asia. For comparison, its size is equivalent to the US state of Texas, and 3 times the area of the United Kingdom. In the past, Bagan in the 9th century was just a peaceful city by the romantic Irrawaddy River. Today it is called Ayarwadi. The name Irrawaddy in Sanskrit originates from the image of a white elephant in legend. And this river is as great as its name suggests. The Irrawaddy meanders through Myanmar's forests and arid lands. It is also one of the widest rivers in Asia. Thanks to the silt deposited by the river, this area became fertile land. Areas near rivers always attract people to settle. The Irrawaddy drew people from all around to live along its banks. Humans have existed in Myanmar since ancient times. And because this is fertile land suitable for human life, war and conflict were inevitable. S temples help us better understand the country. Bolstered by the population, the city gradually became a kingdom, then a powerful empire as recorded in history. Throughout its development, Myanmar had fairly developed trade relations with India. Thus, this land was heavily influenced by Indian culture. Therefore, in the 11th century, King Anuradha converted the Myanmar people to Buddhism. Hence, he was not only the founder of one of Myanmar's most powerful dynasties but also credited with building sacred temples in the country. Anuradha was not the first king of the Bagan dynasty, but he clearly left the deepest impression on posterity for what he did for Bagan specifically and Myanmar's history in general. Anuradha was born into nobility as the son of a king, but his father was one who seized the throne from others. And like other usurpers, Anuradha's father always lived in fear of losing the throne. S biological sons. They were sons of the previous king, adopted by Anuradha. Clearly, the 2 stepbrothers still lived in hope of reclaiming their lost glory. Upon reaching adulthood, These two princes built a beautiful monastery and invited King Kunsa to bestow blessings. The king had no suspicion, and the coup took place. The two elder sons forced their father to become a monk, living a monastic life in the monastery they built. The beautiful monastery became a prison, and the throne was seized by them. According to Myanmar chronicles, the elder brother Kiso, who ascended the throne, was killed by a hunter soon after, mistaking him for a deer. The second brother also ascended the throne immediately after. Many records say the one who killed Kiso was Sakate, the current king of the country. But Sakate did not rule for long either. In 1044, Anarata gathered soldiers near Mount Popa and challenged Sakate to a duel. In that duel, he killed Sakate and reclaimed the throne. Anagata returned the throne to his father. An elderly person, having lived a long monastic life, usually no longer cares about competing for the throne. Therefore, Anagata is considered the founder of Myanmar's written history. According to the chronicles, from then on, Anagata always felt guilty about his brother's death. So he tried to soothe his conscience by building many religious structures throughout the kingdom. This is an image of Bagan during the classical development period. During this period, the city had over 10,000 inhabitants. Some residents lived in the city, while others lived in the suburbs. During this period, the city's population was estimated to be over 10,000 people. This is Clara Rulensmaert, one of the leading experts on the city of Bagan. One reason Bagan became a large city with many massive temples is due to the religious faith of the people. People wanted to accumulate merit for a better life in the next rebirth. This is a 3D sketch of the 5 Buddha temple created by Scott's team. It looks very vivid. This image shows the temple before the earthquake. And this is the image of the temple after the earthquake. The changes can be easily seen with the naked eye, which is that the spire of the structure has completely disappeared. The ancient architectural structures in Bagan were not clearly classified before the earthquake, because the technology at that time was not capable of doing this. For a place to be recognized as a cultural heritage site, we need accurate statistics. Wimlay, the Myanmar architect, is representing UNESCO in counting the number of religious structures in Bagan. No one knows exactly how many religious architectural structures there are in Bagan. When checking old data, you always see an estimated number of about 2,800 structures. But in reality, Bagan has over 3,000 monuments. This means Wimlay is undertaking a very difficult task, tracking down traces of over 200 temples not on any map. The winding roads around Bagan cannot be accurately located by GPS, so they are like a real maze. Winley's search work is practically like looking for a needle in a haystack. Myanmar is famous for its many pilgrims and sacred temples. Local people often say when coming to Bagan, if you want to see graceful beauty, go to Ananda Temple. If you want to see grandeur, go to Thatpianu Temple. And if you want to see magnificence, visit Damayangi Temple. Ananda Temple is known as the largest, best preserved, and most revered temple in Bagan. The temple was built around the year 1100 by King Kyanzita. Originally, it was built to preserve the wisdom of the Buddha. The construction of this structure also represented the king's acceptance of Buddhism. But it seems that an earthquake caused Ananda to no longer be intact as before. The event occurred on July 8, 1975. The ground shook violently, and many cracks appeared on the walls of Ananda. The place was severely damaged. Fortunately, everything was gradually restored afterward. The magnificent temple with a solemn spire in Hindu style is skillfully placed on top. The spire is completely gilded and stands up to 55 meters high. The most famous legend about the temple tells that one day, 8 monks came to King Kyanzita's palace to beg for alms. They said they once lived in the Nandamulat cave in the Himalayas. The king was captivated by the stories and invited the monks to the palace. The stories about temples in India, recounted by the monks, inspired the king to build similar architectural works. Through their meditation abilities, the monks showed the king the mythical landscapes. The king was overwhelmed and desired to build a temple in the plains of Bagan. After completing the temple, the king ordered the execution of the monks to ensure this place became unique in the world. Another version tells that the monks were buried alive to become guardian spirits for the Ananda temple. Regardless of the legend, this seems inconsistent with Buddhist teachings. If the exterior attracts tourists, the interior is what captivates the monks. These are the most beautiful murals in Bagan. Painted in the 17th century, they depict daily life in the capital city. According to Clara Rulensman, these are exquisite paintings, with bright colors and well-preserved. They have endured due to the dry climate in Bagan. But how could the artisans create paintings that remain almost intact after 500 years? That is a secret held by the Myanmar people. They used a natural elixir, neem tree resin, harvested once a year. The artisans used this transparent resin to preserve the murals. This preservative glue from tree resin was created by monks in the 12th century, lasting for hundreds of years. It has a naturally bitter taste, so insects dare not approach the paintings. At the same time, it is very sticky, helping the plaster adhere firmly to the walls despite time. These paintings also served an educational role for the people. Because most people at that time were illiterate and could hardly read Buddhist scriptures. Therefore, paintings were the best way to convey Buddhist messages and the story of the Buddha. By preserving these murals, Myanmar can safeguard its religious culture. But earthquakes are not the only enemy these religious structures face. Sadly, there are even worse threats, and the main culprit is humans. In 1975, a severe earthquake struck this ancient city. A few years later, the then Myanmar government launched a campaign to restore the temples. Ancient architectures damaged over time were replaced with a completely new appearance. For the authorities, this was a perfect opportunity to sign contracts with construction companies. In Myanmar, this was called the Pagoda Restoration Program, widely reported by the media. U Then Thay was one of the witnesses to the restoration considered a destruction of Myanmar's cultural heritage. That restoration broke U Then Thay's heart, and the cause of the damage gradually came to light. According to him, cement was used to repair the structures after the 1975 earthquake. Cement is too heavy, and they also used a lot of iron. The Sulamani temple we mentioned earlier is one of the most precious. Sadly, it is also one of the victims that suffered severe damage after the 1995 major renovation. This is an image of Sulamani in 1970. After the restoration, it became like this. The difference can be easily seen with the naked eye. And this recently repaired temple, once again, could not withstand the recent earthquake. It completely collapsed. The thick walls fell, causing severe damage to the underlying architecture. If these structures are not tightly interconnected, they could collapse at any time. To correct past mistakes, we need to turn back. Return to the ancient construction techniques that the people of Bagan once used. What is their secret? First, clean the cracks between the bricks. The materials used are a mixture of lime, sand, and brick powder. How to make the color as similar as possible to the bricks. The repair and restoration of Sulamani here rely on a combination of new technology and traditional know-how. The artisans must always battle an invisible yet powerful enemy, time. To protect the ancient integrity of Bagan. This is the Buddhist statue that the SCOAT team wants to decode during their the KVAD laser technology they're using helps outline the wall in great detail. And this is truly remarkable because, according to SAC, 6 months ago, their technology had not yet advanced to this level. From the collected images, the research team believes this statue was restored in the past, not being the original. During the research, the team discovered these hidden images. They are women bathing. Why do such mundane, even somewhat secular, images exist in religious structures? Researchers speculate that they might have been used to test the moral integrity of monks. Would they be tempted by secular life? Besides Suleimani, the Mayani is also an important structure of Bagan. Though incomplete, the Mayani still stands tall through the time and space of Bagan. But this place holds many mysteries along with whispers of regret. This is an image of the Mayani at dawn. Doesn't it look just like a pyramid in Egypt? But do you notice anything special in this photo? Yes, this temple has no top. This also means the Mayani was never fully completed. This temple was built with bricks within the famous ancient Bagan complex. Shaped like a massive, towering pyramid that overshadows all other structures. And this pyramid model is completely different from traditional Myanmar Buddhist temples, which are typically stupas with pointed spires reaching to this day, the Myanmar people still have no explanation for why King Nurathu chose this unusual architectural style when building the Mayani. This temple was built by King Nurathu in 1170. The temple has a 6-tiered pyramidal shape. But the Mayani still features the common 4-sided architecture of Myanmar temples, with 4 doors facing the 4 directions. Regarding the interior, the temple has a double corridor system running parallel around the central shrine. Many small brick windows allow natural light from all 4 sides to illuminate the corridors surrounding. The brick arrangement creates a vaulted ceiling system above the temple corridors, demonstrating the high scale of ancient people. Each main entrance of the temple features large Buddhist statues with various postures gilded or painted. On the corridor walls around the temple, there are many niches and pedestals holding smaller Buddha statues. The temple base is as wide as 78 meters, while the central shrine's width reaches 25 meters. Connected by a wide corridor system with vaulted ceilings and false door systems. According to some Bagan records, though never completed, the Hamayangji temple consumed over 6 million bricks. Not to mention the stone foundation system for this massive structure. The construction work was also abandoned midway. A legend of architecture about to be born gradually faded into oblivion. But clearly, this remains a unique representative within the ancient Bagan complex, along with a history of temple development in this area. Legend has it that King Nurathu killed his father and brother to seize the throne. After the bloody days of purging his own father and brother to become king. Myanmar's history is indeed bloody. Why is that? You see, the power struggles and throne usurpations among kings have been mentioned many times in this video. After ascending the throne, perhaps worried about the bad karma he created, he became deeply haunted by his deeds. He officially began building a temple to offer to Buddha, hoping to atone for his sins in 1163. But perhaps Buddha would not heed Nurathu's plea, because this king committed even more evil deeds during the construction later. Among them, one temple door has 2 Buddha statues he commissioned, resembling the spirits of his father and brother. But some books explain these are 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni and Maitreya. Myanmar people still pass down stories that King Nurathu was very harsh. He would readily cut off the hands of any worker if the temple construction was not perfect. So the bricks had to fit together so tightly that not even a needle could pass through. Another document states that after nearly completing the temple, King Nurathu ordered all the workers' hands cut off so they could never build another temple, ensuring the uniqueness of Mayani. When excavating the temple, archaeologists discovered that the bricks filling the corridors were identical to those used to build the temple. Therefore, it is believed that workers threw broken bricks into the temple out of anger at King Nuruthu's harsh rule. Many others think they wanted to trap his ghost inside the temple forever to avenge the suffering he caused. But only 3 years later, while the magnificent Bagan temple was still under construction, King Nuruthu was assassinated. Perhaps even the king himself did not expect that this great and promising project would never be completed. This is likely the price the king had to pay for building a religious structure with the blood and tears of the Myanmar people. If you once set foot on the cool stone floor and quietly walk around the temple, you will understand why the greatness and mystery of Dhammayani have attracted people for hundreds of years, even though it is an unfinished structure. If you once witnessed the beautiful sunlight covering the ancient architectural structures of Bagan, you will find it hard to believe that these temples and pagodas were built thousands of years ago. According to statistical records, during its most glorious period, it is estimated that over 10,000 temples, pagodas, and monasteries rose on this 100 square kilometer central plain. For nearly 250 years, the leaders of the ancient city of Bagan and their subjects built irreplaceable religious architectural structures on the Bagan plain. However, it is regrettable that only about 3,000 temples and pagodas remain today. This prosperous city continued to expand in scale and reputation, becoming an international center for religious and secular knowledge studies. Monks and scholars from distant regions such as India, Sri Lanka, and the Khmer Empire also came to Bagan to study poetry, phonetics, grammar, astrology, alchemy, medicine, and law. The Golden Age of Bagan ended in 1287 when the kingdom and its capital were invaded and ravaged by the Mongol army. Archaeologists say they have no specific documents explaining why a powerful empire like Bagan suddenly declined. According to them, perhaps excessive investment in religious structures depleted the country's resources. And at that time, Bagan became a target of the rising Mongol Empire. The city's population dwindled to that of a village, living hidden among the ruins of a once magnificent metropolis. New religious structures continued to be built until the mid-15th century and beyond. Temple construction nearly ceased, with only about 200 new temples built from the 15th to the 20th century. The old capital remained a pilgrimage site. However, pilgrims focused only on the main temples. Thousands of less famous temples in remote and isolated places fell into abandonment and decay. Most could not withstand the ravages of time and no longer exist. Many other temples were buried by disasters such as earthquakes. Today, only a few dozen temples are regularly maintained. In the 1990s, the Myanmar government attempted to restore damaged temples, but could not preserve the original architectural style. The use of modern materials faced widespread opposition from historians and conservationists worldwide. Due to this historically inappropriate alteration, the city of Bagan was not recognized as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Although the Myanmar government asserts that hundreds of temples remain unrestored, and the existing structures already meet the criteria to be recognized as a World Heritage Site, Bagan, with its magnificent architecture, still stands tall against the flow of time and the many ups and downs of history. Under the sunlight, the temples with their high spires still proudly rise as a surviving testament to a glorious dynasty. Would you like to once set foot in Myanmar to admire these beautiful architectures, this blend of Hindu style and ancient civilization? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. See you again in the next exploration journeys on the Primordial Universe channel. For now, goodbye. Subscribe to the Primordial Universe channel so you don't miss exciting videos.